Welcome, one and all, to the SpareTalk News Network. Your host, Rod Weaver, will be up momentarily as he gets ready for his one-on-one interactive podcast to kick things off. So, sit back and enjoy. And now, on with the show.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, Colleen and I are going to dive into something that, on the surface, might seem pretty straightforward, but I promise you, it's got layers. We're talking about the good old bowling league. And I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff, the surface perks, as I like to call them.
Surface perks, Rod? I'm intrigued. What exactly do you mean by that? Because I think for a lot of people, when they think bowling league, they're already thinking about the fun, the camaraderie, maybe even the little bit of friendly competition.
Exactly. And those are absolutely legitimate. But what I mean by surface perks are things like, say, the physical activity. You know, you're on your feet, you're swinging your arm, you're bending, you're lunging. It's exercise. It activates muscles, helps with general health, metabolism even. You're relieving stress, releasing tension. It's good for circulation, keeps that muscle memory firing. All genuinely fantastic reasons to join a league, don't get me wrong. But they're just the tip of the iceberg, Colleen.
I can definitely attest to that. I mean, after a good few games, I feel like I've had a decent workout, especially in my legs and core. And the stress relief? Oh my goodness, there's something incredibly satisfying about sending that ball down the lane and just hearing the pins crash. It really does melt away the day's tension. But you're hinting at something deeper, aren't you? Something beyond the physical and the immediate gratification.
Bingo! That's where the real deal lies, in what I call the underlying advantages. This is where bowling leagues truly shine in ways I think we're increasingly starving for in our modern world. It's about genuine human interaction. Think about it. You're consistently bonding with teammates and friends, week after week. It's not just a casual hi and bye at the grocery store. It's a shared experience, a journey, together, through strikes, spares, and yes, even those dreaded splits.
That's so true. I've seen friendships forged in leagues that last for years, sometimes decades. It's that consistent, low-stakes interaction. You're not forced into deep conversations if you don't want to be, but the opportunity is always there. You learn about people's lives, their families, their struggles, their triumphs, all while doing something fun together. It's a natural progression of relationship building, isn't it?
Absolutely, Colleen. And it's the tangible interaction that really gets me. We're talking about handshakes, high fives, a pat on the back, flesh touching flesh. In a world that's becoming increasingly digitized and contactless, those simple physical gestures of support and celebration are so incredibly vital. They're a reaffirmation of human connection, and I see you, I'm here with you moment that you just can't replicate through a screen.
You're right. There's an energy that comes from a genuine high five after a great shot, or a sympathetic squeeze on the shoulder after a tough frame, that truly transcends words. It's an unspoken language of support and shared experience. It makes you feel part of something, part of a team, part of a community. And that, I think, leads us to perhaps the biggest, most crucial underlying advantage you wanted to discuss.
You read my mind. And that is, without a doubt, getting away from social media. Now, don't get me wrong. People bring their phones to the lanes. Of course they do. But they're using them for specific utilitarian functions. Maybe they need to take a quick call for work or family, or they're using a scoring app to track their own game. It's functional, not escapist. They're not scrolling endlessly through feeds, comparing themselves to others, or getting sucked into some online drama.
That's a fantastic point. I've noticed that too. My phone is usually in my bag, and if it's out, it's to maybe quickly check an email or text, then it's back away. Nobody's just sitting there glued to Instagram or TikTok between frames. Because why would you? You're there with real people, in a real place, doing a real activity. The actual game, the real-time interaction, is far more engaging than anything happening on a small screen.
Exactly. And this is where it really hits home for me. Social media, in so many ways, promotes artificial friendships. You have these friends or followers you barely know, if at all. It's not exercising true human interaction. Contrast that with the bowling lanes. You're talking to people, face to face. You know who they are, you see their reactions, you hear the nuance in their voice. There's no hiding behind a profile picture or a cleverly worded post.
And it goes beyond just artificial friendships, doesn't it? Social media outlets, unfortunately, have become sources of domineering influence. You've got news narratives that constantly try to sway your opinion, relentless advertising pushing products, and then there's the shout-down culture. If you don't agree with the majority, you're often obliged to let someone on the other end of a conversation, someone whose true identity you're not even sure of, dictate their opinions and have the last word. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting, Colleen, and it's fundamentally unhealthy for genuine connection. But in a bowling league, it's person-to-person interactions, one-on-one in most cases, or small group discussions where you're sure of who you're talking to. The bowling is primary. That's the focus. Ideological differences, if they even come up, are secondary when you're on the lanes. You're there to compete, to have fun, to laugh, and to share a common goal. The game itself is the focus, without the stress of abiding by some external narrative.
What a breath of fresh air that is. To be able to just exist, to play, to interact, without that constant underlying tension of am I saying the right thing, or will this get me canceled? It's about the pure joy of the moment, the shared experience. And that kind of environment is incredibly conducive to building real relationships, not just surface-level acquaintances.
Exactly. People tend to forget that true relationships come by physical interaction and eye contact. They come from seeing someone's genuine smile, hearing their authentic laugh, sharing a moment of triumph or even commiseration. Not impulsive, written communications from one computer to another computer, or one phone to another phone. There's no substitute for being present, truly present, with another human being.
You know, Rod, it really makes you appreciate the simplicity and the profound impact of these traditional social structures like bowling leagues. In an increasingly complex and digitally saturated world, they offer an anchor, a place where genuine human connection isn't just possible, it's the main event. It's a reminder of what truly matters. Real people, real conversations, real shared experiences. It's not just about knocking down pins, it's about building bridges between people.
And that, Colleen, is why I'll always be a champion for the bowling league. It's more than a game. It's a community, a sanctuary, and a genuine reminder of our shared humanity. So, if you're looking for a little more real in your life, maybe it's time to lace up those bowling shoes and find a league near you. You might just find more than strikes. You might find genuine connection. Thanks for joining me today, Colleen.
Belating. My pleasure, Rod. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope everyone out there considers getting off their screens and onto the lanes. You won't regret it. We'll catch you next time.
From the year 1971 in the Greensboro Record. Bowling keeps Judy Ford fit, former Miss America. Every girl can't be a Miss America, but they can use the same formula to stay slim and trim. Judy Ford, a green-eyed blonde beauty who earned the Miss America crown in 1969, bowls for fitness and for fun. I started bowling when I was 9 with kids in the neighborhood, says 22-year-old Judy, so it's really a habit with me. Judy credits her bowling exercise with developing the coordination that enabled her to become a skilled gymnast and a trampoline expert. Bowling, however, is Judy's first love. I enjoy bowling whenever I can because it allows me to have fun while exercising, she says. Recently married, Judy finds it easy to merge her sports activities with family life. Bowling is the ideal family sport, says Judy, one that can be enjoyed by young and old alike and at the same time, help to keep us fit. Judy currently is filling a dual role in advocating exercise for fun and health. One assignment is serving as the only woman member of President Nixon's Committee on Physical Fitness and Sports. As Bowl-a-Shape ambassador for the National Bowling Council, she also is carrying her message about bowling coast to coast. In addition to demonstrating the exercise advantages of the sport itself, Judy uses her bowling ball in a program of exercises designed to emphasize spot reduction and muscle toning. Judy's travels often take her a long way from the University of Illinois, where she is a senior majoring in physical education. I enjoy telling people about bowling, she says. Anyone can participate in this sport. In addition to having a good time, they are getting good exercise, improving their circulation, and helping to get rid of tensions. From the year 1985 in the Baltimore Sun. Ellicott City duckpin bowler makes the national top 20. The National Duckpin Bowling Congress, headquartered in Baltimore, recently issued its rankings of the top duckpin bowlers in the nation. That didn't mean much to Patrick E. Patty Lacey of Ellicott City, until he found out he had cracked the top 20 list. Lacey, 19, said he knew he bowled well for the 1984 through 85 season, but still was shocked to see he had finished in the top 20. I had no idea where I was going to finish in the standings, he said. The NDBC ranked Lacey 18th in the country, with a 147.121 average, about 7 points behind the top duckpin bowler in the country, Peter Pierce of Cranston, Rhode Island. But what makes Lacey's accomplishments all the more impressive is that he compiled his average while bowling 689 games, the second highest number of the top 20 bowlers and nearly 3 times as many games as Pierce. I was really surprised when I heard that I had finished that high, because there are a lot of people who are probably better bowlers than I am, Lacey said. But only 17 this year were better in the duckpin bowling circuit. In duckpin bowling, a ball about 1/4 the size of a regular bowling ball is used to knock down pins smaller than those of 10-pin bowling. The bowler is allowed 3 rolls per frame, compared to the 2 rolls in 10 pins. The NDBC compiles its rankings from the scores that the organization receives throughout the year from leagues and tournaments. The totals for each bowler in tournaments and leagues are averaged together and used to determine the national rankings. Lacey, a 1984 graduate of Glen Elg High School, said he began bowling as an 8-year-old, when his mother, Roberta Lacey, took him with her for her bowling nights. What started then as something to pass the time is now a part-time vocation, as Lacey said he usually bowls about 4 nights a week. In the youth duckpin division, Lacey had set 2 world records in 1984 on his way to winning the Baltimore Division Youth Duckpin Invitational Championship. This year, in adult competition, Lacey performed well in tournaments he entered, finishing in the top 10 in 5 tournaments on the men's professional duckpin tour. He advanced to the semifinals twice in his first season in the men's division. Early this season, Lacey has not matched his freshman year accomplishments. I haven't really been able to bowl up to my standards and it has been a little disappointing, he said. The sophomore jinx has hit me and my average probably won't be as high this year, Lacey said. It is hard to put together 2 really good years in a row and that is probably what my problem is. From the year 2006 in the Naples Daily News. You bowled a perfect game? Hey, join the growing crowd. By Daniel Weiss. All 50 lanes at Bowler City in Hackensack, New Jersey, were full for the Monday Night League. But by the time Mike Herbeck had thrown 10 strikes in a row, everything had come to a halt. Hundreds of bowlers crowded around his lane to see whether he could keep it up. Herbeck felt a bit wobbly in the legs, but he got 2 more strikes to seal a perfect score of 300. Herbeck was mobbed with high fives, and people congratulated him for weeks on his achievement. That was in 1984, back when bowling a perfect game was still a relatively rare achievement. When Herbeck got his 4th 300 game a few weeks ago, it was barely noticed. And when 2 members of a single team in one of his leagues both bowled 300 on the same night, he didn't even hear about it until the following week. I guess it's such a common thing now that it's like no big deal, said Herbeck, 45, a transportation manager who lives in Efford, Pennsylvania. During its long history, bowling has been no stranger to controversy. In 1366, King Edward III of England forbade his troops to bowl because the sport was distracting them from their archery practice. In the 19th century, several U.S. states banned the sport because of its association with gambling. Today, another controversy is brewing. Many fear the sport is losing its credibility and integrity as average bowling scores increase and more people bowl perfect games. In 1970, around 1,000 perfect games were bowled, according to statistics from the U.S. Bowling Congress, the body that sanctions league bowling. Last year, the number topped 56,000. And during that same period, the number of league bowlers dropped to just 2.7 million from a high of 10 million in 1980. As Herbeck and the rest of his league warmed up on a recent evening, this time at Lodi Lanes in Lodi, New Jersey, Sal Licatena and James Dixon, whose league had just finished playing for the night, stood by the cashier debating the topic. "It's getting too easy," said Licatena, 54, who bowled his first perfect game in 1976 and has racked up 20 more since. But Dixon, 35, said that higher scores made bowling more fun. He bowled 2 300s in November and has 6 overall. After a perfect game, bowling officials used to rope off the lane like a crime scene to inspect it and scrutinize the ball to make sure everything complied with league regulations. Since the early 1990s, officials no longer bother. Bowlers point to better bowling balls and improvements in the way lanes are maintained for the rise in scores. Until the late 1970s, bowling balls were made of rubber or plastic. Since then, new materials like resin embedded with ground-up glass have created balls that grip the lane surface better. This allows bowlers to hook their shots so that the balls curve more sharply into the pocket, the space between the front pin and the one behind it, causing more pins to fall. At the same time, bowling centers apply oil to the lanes in patterns that allow for a greater margin of error. More oil in the center of the lane prevents a ball from hooking and missing the pocket. Less oil on the sides of the lane allows the ball to hook more so that it can curve into the pocket. The result is that a shot can be off by several inches to the left or right and still end up knocking down all 10 pins. Bowling is not the only sport to be affected by technological advances. Today's golf clubs can hit balls much farther than their predecessors. And today's light carbon and titanium tennis rackets are supercharged by comparison with the old wooden variety, allowing for serves that exceed 100 miles per hour. Yet many believe that bowling has become more dominated, or diminished, by technology than other sports. "It used to be if you had a 200 average, you were known as a good bowler," said Len Nicholson, who worked for several decades maintaining lanes for the Professional Bowlers Association Tour. "Now, you can bowl 230 and still stink because the equipment today has made gorillas out of monkeys." As a result, bowlers' records have ballooned as if on steroids. At least 50 league bowlers have more than 50 career perfect games each. One bowler says he has more than 100. And in the last decade, 10 have bowled at 900 series, 3 perfect games in a row, a feat once thought to be impossible. "What does that truly say about our game?" asked Neil Stremmel, technical director at the USBC. "I mean, nobody's ever going to shoot 18 in golf, a hole-in-one on every hole." Still, Stremmel emphasizes that perfect games are statistically rare, occurring on average once every 5,000 league games. But then there are the many stories that appear in the media about a 10-year-old bowling 300. Identical twins shooting perfect games on the same night, and a 94-year-old, legally blind woman bowling 244. 5 years ago, in an attempt to offer a more challenging environment for league bowlers, the Bowling Congress began the Sport Bowling Program. The program mandates oil patterns similar to those used by the Professional Bowlers Association. "Watching someone bowl a perfect game in a sport bowling league is a bit like stepping back in time," says Steve Wunderlich, a former professional bowler who directs the program. "Every time someone gets close, the entire league stops to watch the final shots." Interest has been gaining ground, but slowly. This year just 13,000 bowlers participated in the program. "The bowlers have resisted tougher conditions," said Jim Dressel, editor of Bowlers Journal International. "They want to be able to pound on their chests and say, 'I can average 220. I can average 230. They don't want to go backward." In 2007, the Bowling Congress will offer a new version of sport bowling in which league players can bowl using lane conditions identical to those of the professionals. Wonderlic hopes the approach will appeal to more players. "I think it would be cool to experience what the pros bowl on," said Dave Pfeiffer, 41, a bowler at Lodi Lanes who has shot 7 perfect games. "It would be much more a testament to skill, being able to figure out a shot," he said. But Pfeiffer thinks most bowlers will continue to be drawn to lanes that allow them to post higher scores. "It's just human nature," he said. "People enjoy when they're performing well." From the Miami Herald in the year 1983. By Grant Overstake. His game gets rolling before the sunrise. It's 5:58 a.m., and Storm DeVincent has begun bowling his daily 100 strikes before breakfast. It will take him about 2 hours. Only a handful of people will see it. But a job is a job. And DeVincent is determined to get ready for the Professional Bowlers Association Tour, even if it means getting up before dawn. "We have to bowl in the morning because this is the only time we can get unlimited use on the lanes," DeVincent said. "They've got Fred and Wilma Flintstone leagues at night, and the senior citizens and women bowl in the daytime." DeVincent, 28, of Tamarack, is no Fred Flintstone. He is preparing for the Professional Bowlers Association Tour. He practices at Don Carter's All-Star Lanes in Boca Raton with fellow professional Palmer Falgren, 32, who runs the pro shop. DeVincent doesn't stop with 100 strikes. He also bowls 2 hours at Bolero Lanes in Pompano Beach every afternoon. "I am putting out 100% to get ready this time," DeVincent said. "I've come to realize how tough it is to make money out there. I've got to get better. That's why I'm here." The 16-week PBA Winter Tour begins January 2 in Anaheim, California. Out of some 400 bowlers, only the top 54 will cash, that is, get a paycheck. DeVincent isn't worried about making ends meet. "I have never gone 2 weeks without cashing," he said. DeVincent, who has been a professional for 5 years, collected about $13,000 last season, enough to cover the rent and pay the bills. DeVincent would rather forget his biggest bowling moment, the 1982 Sunshine Open in Kendall. Under the television lights on ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour, DeVincent, leading in the 10th frame and 1 shot away from the winning check in a handshake from Chris Schenkel, threw a gutter ball. "Everybody keeps reminding me of that," he said. "I am glad they remember me for something, but I'm looking forward to getting another chance. I hope to make a name for myself and open my own pro shop someday." You don't do that by throwing gutter balls. Bowling is in DeVincent's blood. His parents managed a Brunswick Alley in Burlington, Massachusetts. He bowled in junior leagues from the time he was 7 and worked drilling bowling balls at 15. He left the alleys and went into the tire business in Central Florida in 1975. He didn't want to frustrate himself with sub-200 games, so the bowling ball stayed in the closet while he tried to make a living. The business went flat 2 years later and DeVincent decided to return to bowling. He rolled 6 300 games and tallied a .211 average in amateur tournaments in his comeback year. His average was high enough to qualify him for the PBA Tour. A muscular 6 feet, 2 inches, and 200 pounds, DeVincent is one of the tour's largest bowlers. But shorter bowlers with skinny hips have an edge because they can bring the ball straight down and through. "Lots of puny guys make big money," he said. DeVincent, who wears size 13 bowling shoes and has a 34-inch waist, stays trim by bicycling and jogging 3 miles every other day. At night and in the morning before he bowls, he swallows vitamins B and C for stress, and biotin and cysteine to keep his thinning hair in. He also takes ornithine and arginine, both growth hormones that he says keep his metabolism percolating like a teenager's. Despite his strength, he doesn't roll the ball that hard. Instead, he takes a slow, 5-step delivery and lays the ball gently on the number 10 board. It rolls awfully close to the right gutter, then hooks into the pins. In practice, it's usually a strike. When it isn't, he resets the pins. It's kind of boring throwing strike after strike, DeVincent said. But you've got to train yourself to shoot them. If the ball is rolling good, you'll get your spares. You've got to get strike fever. Once you get that, it's terrific. From the Greensboro record in the year 1971. Colt back bowls over his foes. I picked up the name from some of the defensive players because I run hard and low and I'm always knocking people over. That's how Don Nottingham, Baltimore Colts rookie running back, explains how he earned the nickname of the bowling ball. Nottingham, a 5'10", 220-pounder out of Kent State, was the last player selected in the 1971 National Football League draft, and the world champion Colts are glad they got him. He's quite a prospect despite his size, says coach Don McCafferty. He's durable, tough, and has a very strong body. It didn't take long for Baltimore reporters to pick up Nottingham's new nickname. CBS TV sportscaster Pat Summerall, calling the play-by-play during the nationally televised preseason game between Baltimore and Dallas, often commented, "Watch out for the bowling ball." Don is a bowler, a sport he enjoys with his wife Shelley. A left-hander, he says he likes to get out to a bowling center for fun and enjoyment. His high game is a 214, but he admits his average is somewhere near the 150 mark. From the Santa Barbara News Press from the year 1976. Girl in juvenile hall hits instructor with bowling pin. A woodcrafts instructor at Juvenile Hall suffered serious head cuts yesterday afternoon when he reportedly was attacked by a 13-year-old girl wielding a bowling pin. John Voorhees was treated at the Cottage Hospital emergency room where he was taken by ambulance after the 2:30 p.m. attack. The wounds were sutured and he was later released, a sheriff's office spokesman said. The alleged assailant, a 13-year-old girl from Lompoc, was placed in an isolation cell after the incident, the spokesman said. She allegedly struck Voorhees from behind several times after earlier telling other detainees at the hall that she planned to attack him and then escape. Voorhees, despite being stunned by the blows, managed to call out for help, bringing other employees to his aid, the spokesman said. From the year 1960 in the Times. Bowling tip: make the ball work for you. By Gallagher. There's nothing so disheartening to a bowler as seeing that ball hit the 1-3 pocket and still leave pins standing. What happened? Well, a good guess is a dead ball easily deflected because it's not rolling properly. One cause of this is releasing the ball incorrectly. To make the ball roll forward properly, let the thumb come out first, then the fingers. Don't throw the ball. Let it slide off your fingers. And one other thing to remember, the hand should be either wholly behind the ball, or behind and to the right side, that is, for a right-handed bowler. Never release the ball from the top or with the back of the hand toward the pins. All right, now, let's see you hit that 1-3 pocket again. From the year 1988 in the Daily Sentinel. Party brings two factions together in fun games. Angie Sukra intently eyed the bowling pins. Awkwardly, the 13-year-old East Middle School student approached the foul line and barely mustered enough strength to roll her shiny 16-pound ball down the oil-slicken alley at Orchard Mesa Lanes. Slowly, the blue ball rolled. Sukra was standing on edge as she watched her ball quietly plow into the pins. Like a seasoned pro, Sukra jumped wildly with excitement as the last pin dropped. She threw a strike in her very first attempt at bowling. "All right, this is fun," she squealed, as she thrust her fists triumphantly in the air. That's the attitude organizers had hoped for, during the Cops for Kids Day, Wednesday at the lanes. The Grand Junction Police Department Resource Officer Program sponsored the party designed to allow youths and police officers to get to know one another on an informal basis in a more relaxed atmosphere. "As much as we deal with kids on an everyday basis, we want to show them that we're human," said Officer Tim Leon. "We're not the hard-nosed cops you see on TV." Some 146 youths and about 20 officers participated in the party, which offered free bowling and shoes from 1 to 4 p.m., and music provided by a disc jockey prompting several youths to dance the afternoon away. Free door prizes and videos also were available for the youths, as well as the zany antics of 14-year-old comic Mike Gribble, who did a polished imitation of President Ronald Reagan. "This is one of those alternative events to drugs and alcohol," said Sergeant Greg Kuhn, who served as MC for the party. "That's why 12-year-old Naomi Barlow decided to come to the party. She said teenagers often get categorized as being bad because of the actions of a few." The bubbly Barlow, with a smile etched on her beaming face while she bowled, said she would much rather meet police officers this way than any other. "This way is much easier, instead of them busting us for doing something," she said. "You hear from kids that cops are the bad guys," said 14-year-old Justin Carr, a Golden resident who was visiting his grandfather, Wayne Bates of Grand Junction, for the holidays. "All the drugs and stuff make you sick, and if they bust you, they're just doing their job. But don't get me wrong. This is a good idea, but it's going to take more than just this to get kids to see things differently." Bates didn't know about the party when he and Carr decided to go bowling, but he was glad they had an opportunity to experience the sharing the police officers and the youths showed Wednesday. "I think it worked," Bates said. From the year 1950 in the Wilkes-Barre Times Leader. Bowling ball blocks sewer and floods city streets. There are many articles that find their way into city sewer intakes to block the runoff of surface water on city streets, but the most unusual was an 18-inch bowling ball recovered yesterday from a sewer intake at Cole Street in Carbon Lane. And just to interject a tidbit, this is the size of a duckpin bowling ball. But, we now continue the article. This unusual obstruction was finally dislodged by 3 employees of the Bureau of Sewers, engineer Guyby Walker reported, after several hours of hard work. The bowling ball fits snugly in the mouth of an 8-inch pipe and prevented the surface water from finding its way through the drain. This resulted in the intake filling up and the water then spread over the street. The condition caused numerous calls from households of the neighborhood, who notified City Hall that their cellars were in danger of being flooded. The 3 employees of the sewer department were dispatched to the scene. With long steel rods inserted into the pipe some distance away, they finally dislodged the obstruction, which to the astonishment of the workmen proved to be the bowling ball. Where the ball came from has not been determined. The sewer employees offered the suggestion that a kegler on his way home from a bowling alley contest accidentally dropped it when a leather container in which it was being carried came open, and it rolled through the opening of the intake, dropping to the bottom of the enclosure. At any rate, the force of the water carried the ball to the mouth of the pipe where it completely shut off the discharge of the water and caused a miniature street flood. Well, that's the story. I will say that I have heard reports of bowlers having their egos hurt by a bad night at the lanes, reportedly throwing their bowling balls down empty roads out of frustration, somehow blaming these round spheres for their own human failings. So keep this story in mind the next time you guys have an abysmal night. Temper tantrums can hurt innocent people.
Well, I guess we've come to the end and we'll be wrapping it up for today. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. As usual, if you haven't already done so and would like to be notified when future videos become available and are published, feel free to hit the subscribe button in the lower right corner of the videos or YouTube video screen. Have a great week, and I look forward to seeing everyone on the upcoming Thursday or Friday. Take care.